Ideally, in an ideal world, no. So you're only going to have periods for 4 to 6 days, and it is quite likely that you are going to be in s- sort of a moderate pain only for a day or two. So if you take a day or two painkillers, it won't cause any major issues. However, if say, for example, uh, if you are taking regular painkillers and it's been more than a week, probably that's not terribly ideal because these painkillers, they affect your platelets and they can cause acidity. So depending on which one you're using, it may cause side effects from the regular consumption. But if you're just using it, say, for example, every period, every month, you're just using it for a couple of days, it's not the end of the world. But obviously, if you have got, we call it a pain score. So on a 1 to 10 scale, you have to see where your pain is. So like up to 1 to 4, it's mild pain. 5 to 7 is moderate pain, and 8, 9, 10 is a severe pain. So if you're consistently experiencing severe pain for more than 6 months, it's better to be investigated. As I said, your period should last anything between 3 to 7 days, and it should come every 4 weeks. So 4 weeks is maximum. So that's your, we say around 28 to 33 days is your cycle length. What it means is, let's say you look at your last 6 periods. So if it is like 32, 31, 30, 33, 32, so this is a 1 to 2 days variation, and that's absolutely fine. But if your period is 24, 35, 26, 33, so this variation has gone more than 2 to 3 days, so that becomes an irregular pattern, and that needs to be investigated. Again, depends on why are you having it and how often you're having it. Okay, so as I said to you, the estrogen and progesterone. So basically, the medication we offer to delay the periods is either a combined pill, which is used even as a contraception, or just the progesterone to extend the second phase of the period. So you can take those tablets until you want to delay your period, and when you stop, you get a period. So my question would be, it's not about delaying the period, it's about why one wants to delay the period. So, for example, there might be some religious reason, or you might be going on a holiday and you don't want to have your period once or twice a year. It's not the end of the world. But if you say every month, then you better go on a proper contraceptive pill, which you can tricycle. So you take 3 packs back to back, have a period, then 3 packs. So in a whole year, you will only have 4 periods, or actually sometimes you can take continuous. So basically stop your periods as well completely. I mentioned before, you need to understand the pattern. Okay, because some months are 4 weeks, some months it goes into fifth week. So if you're measuring it by date, it might be different. Okay, but you need to measure the duration between. So duration you'll measure between first day of each period. So let's say this is now February, so you got your period, then you see what date in January you got your period, and then measure the number of days between those periods, and then you will see the average of your last 6 periods. If it is not more than 1 or 2 days, that's absolutely fine. But if it is getting 3 to 7 days, so for example, I'll show you on calendar. So let's start from December. Okay. So for example, let's say you got a period on 1st of December. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Week 4 comes 29th of December. That is 28 days. And let's say you got period on 31st of December. So 20 10 to 30 days. But after that, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you got your period on 3rd of February. So what that becomes is almost 5 weeks. Then next period comes a bit early, only in 28 days. So now you see the duration ranged from 30, 28, and then suddenly 35. Okay, so that becomes an irregular pattern. And PCOS is very common in India. So probably that needs to be, if it continues happening, that needs to be investigated. Two, uh, One needs to differentiate an irregular period and a delayed period. Okay, the period could be delayed for lots of things like stress and everything, because we think we have evolved, but we haven't. We forget that our brain was wired millions and millions of years ago when there were no doctors, hospitals, or medication. And as a female of the Homo sapiens species, your primary job is survive first. And if that is achieved, then reproduce. Okay. So whenever there is a stress, your brain doesn't understand what is the stress caused by. So it's like, for example, if you remember your reflex activity. So if you touch something hot without you knowing, your hand gets retracted. Yeah. So brain doesn't know if that is something hot, or you touch something wet in the dark, or something else. All brain understands is this is an unpleasant sensation which potentially could be dangerous or harmful. And that's why without you telling the brain retracts your hand. Yeah. So it's the same thing. Brain doesn't understand. Your body has coping mechanisms. So they're called stress hormones, which are mainly cortisol and everything. So irrespective of what type of stress you have, the stress hormones are released. But what brain assumes is if your stress is increased, brain assumes that your survival is compromised. And whole purpose of having a period is basically you're not getting pregnant, because every month your body is preparing you to get pregnant. Now, if you are stressed, that means your survival is compromised. That means you can't get pregnant. Simple as that. And that's why brain will not let you ovulate that month. And that's why you will have a delayed period. So if there is an exam stress, or there is a death in the family, or stress at the job, and all other pathological issues, you will have a delayed period. That's one off thingy, because your exam is not for a whole year. Yeah. Your exam, let's say it's in March, and now you're studying and you're really stressed, and your February period, instead of coming on 26th of February, it's coming on 4th of March. Yeah. That is expected. But if you say my period was expected end of February, but it came mid-March, then it was expected in mid-April, but it came in May, then it was expected in June, but it came in July. Now that is an irregular pattern. And that could be either because of PCOS, or you're running out of your eggs. So that needs to be investigated. And that's a whole gynecology. It's not there is never going to be a simple answer. As I said, it could be stress, it could be PCOS, it could be something else. But as I said, that if it's a one-off thing, it's not a big deal. But if it is happening at regular intervals, that needs to be looked at. Hormonal, you can't do much because your body works independent of you. Okay. But what normally we say is healthy food, uh, check your weight in balance. Because what happens is, as Asians, we are all born with insulin resistance. We got type 2 diabetes written here. We are all going to get it at some point. The only question is how soon or how late. And that's why, because everything is very, very intricately related. Okay. Plus, I don't know, you guys are in Delhi, and even in the UK, we keep reading about air quality in Delhi. So we don't know how the environmental factors are impacting on it. as well. And that's why it's very important that you look after your own health, you eat healthy food, maintain healthy weight. Okay. So you must have heard of BMI, we call it, body mass index. It's your weight divided by height in meters squared. Now, the regular normal BMI is 20 to 25. Below 20 or below 19 is actually underweight. 25 to 30 is overweight. 30 to 35 is obese. And over 35 is morbidly obese. But we forget that this index was kept in mind Caucasian patients. Okay. Asians are generally small built. So for us, actually 25 as well could be an overweight. So for us, ideal is actually 23, which is not always possible, but at least up to 25 should be fine. But that's where it all comes in, and your sleeping habits and other stresses and everything. So we are going to talk about it at that as well in next section. No, not really. Smoking doesn't cause delay in periods, but what smoking does is it makes you lose your eggs faster. So the difference between men and women is men produce sperms on a regular basis, 5,000 sperms per second. And the oldest sperm a guy will ever carry is 90 days old, even when the guy is 90 years old. That's why Mick Jagger, Bob De Niro, they can have kids at 85. Women are born with a set number of eggs. And from the day you are born, it only goes down with time. There is no way up. So, roughly, when you're born, you're given about 1 million of those eggs. By the time you had your first period, you were down by 50% without doing anything. And then it goes down pretty smooth up to the age 35, and then it just plummets. And around 51, you lose all the eggs and you become menopausal. The problem is Asian genetics, Asian women have low reserve compared to their Caucasian counterparts. So let's say you all are in an age group of 20 to 25. Now, if I take all your blood tests to measure your ovarian reserve and compare with Caucasian girls who are 20 to 25, their reserve is already going to be better and yours is going to be lower. Now, on top of that, if people are smoking or they have got issues like endometriosis and everything, so this is going to go faster. Average age of menopause, that is when you run out of your eggs, is 51 in the UK. In India, it's 45. And the actually changes may start from 38, 39, or 40 onwards. Until now, we never saw this problem as big as this one because until almost, let's say, when I was a student 30 years ago or 20 years ago, majority of girls were getting married by 2022 and completing their family by 25, 26, or latest by 30. So we actually never faced that problem. But now, because of increasing education and independence, girls are delaying their childbearing. And now we are seeing it. So I don't know how much you follow the fertility news, but actually, India's birth rate has dropped quite significantly. And that is going to constrict our population by close to 400 million. So, yeah, smoking doesn't delay your period, but it makes you lose your eggs faster. So if one keeps smoking, instead of becoming menopausal at 45, they might become menopausal at 38, 39.